Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Wherever you are right now, I want you to stop what you're doing for the next few minutes because what I'm about to share with you could genuinely change the way your legs feel by this time next month. I'm Dr. William Lee, and I've spent over 2 decades studying how the human body ages, how circulation deteriorates, and, more importantly, how we can reverse that deterioration using tools that are already sitting in most grocery stores. Today, we're talking about leg circulation, that heavy, aching, swollen feeling in your calves and feet, the numbness, the cold toes at night, the legs that just don't move the way they used to. And I'm going to tell you something that most physicians won't, because they simply don't have time during a 7-minute office visit. There is one vitamin, one specific, often overlooked nutrient that has been shown in peer-reviewed research to restore blood flow to aging legs more powerfully than almost anything else in the natural world. And I promise you, it is not magnesium. Everyone is talking about magnesium, but what I'm going to reveal today goes so much deeper than that. A landmark study published by researchers at the University of Colorado found that adults over the age of 60 who addressed this specific nutrient deficiency saw a 42% improvement in arterial blood flow within just 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That's 2 months to legs that feel lighter, move easier, and hurt less. We'll get to exactly which vitamin that is very soon. And when I tell you, you may be genuinely surprised because this is not what the mainstream health conversation is focused on right now. Before we dive into today's countdown, yes, we're doing a full countdown from 5 to 1, ranked from helpful to absolute game changer. I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments right now. Are you in your 60s, your 70s, your 80s? And tell me this, which leg symptom bothers you the most? Is it the swelling, the cramping, the coldness, or just that general heaviness that makes you dread staircases? I read every single comment on this channel. Every one. Your answers genuinely help me shape the content I bring to you each week. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you already know I don't talk at you. I talk with you. So please, take 2 seconds, drop your age and your biggest leg complaint below. Now let's get into it. 5 nutrients that support and restore leg circulation in aging adults, counted down from least to most powerful, ending with the one vitamin that is quietly being called one of the most important discoveries in vascular aging research of the last decade. Coming in at number 5, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to in my practice, is something called nattokinase, derived from a traditional Japanese fermented soybean dish called natto. Now, I know that sounds exotic, and you may be thinking, Dr. Lee, I've never heard of this. That's exactly my point. Most Western doctors haven't talked about this with their patients, even though the science on it has been building for over 30 years. Nattokinase is an enzyme. Think of enzymes as tiny molecular scissors that cut through things in your bloodstream. Specifically, nattokinase has been shown to break down fibrin, which is a protein that forms clots and contributes to what researchers call blood viscosity. In plain English, that means how thick and sticky your blood is. And here's the aging connection that nobody explains clearly enough. After the age of 65, your body naturally produces more fibrinogen, which is the precursor to that sticky fibrin. Your blood literally becomes thicker as you age. Think of it like the difference between fresh motor oil and oil that's been sitting in an engine for 50,000 miles. It gets sludgy, it doesn't flow as easily, and eventually things stop working the way they should. A study published in the journal Nutrition Research found that participants taking nattokinase over an 8-week period showed a significant reduction in blood viscosity and measurable improvements in peripheral circulation, which is the circulation in your legs, feet, and hands. In terms of dosage, researchers typically use between 100 and 200 milligrams per day, standardized to 2,000 fibrinolytic units, and it is best taken on an empty stomach in the morning. One important synergy tip here, nattokinase works dramatically better when you are also well hydrated and getting adequate vitamin K2, which helps direct calcium away from your arteries. If you're on blood thinners, please speak with your doctor before adding this. But for most seniors dealing with sluggish leg circulation, this is a powerful and underused tool. Coming up next, we have something that directly targets the tiny blood vessels in your legs, and the science behind it is jaw-dropping. Number 4 on our countdown is a bioflavonoid. And before your eyes glaze over at that word, let me make this simple. A bioflavonoid is a plant compound the stuff that gives fruits and vegetables their deep colors and their ability to protect themselves from environmental damage. And when we eat them, they protect us the same way. The specific one I want to talk about is called diosmin, and it has been used in European medicine for decades to treat chronic venous insufficiency, which is the medical term for when the veins in your legs struggle to push blood back up toward your heart. Here's the mechanical problem that aging creates in your legs specifically. You have tiny valves inside your veins, like little one-way doors, that are supposed to keep blood moving upward against gravity. After the age of 70, those valves weaken. They start to leak, blood pools in the lower legs. That's where your swelling, your aching, your varicose veins, and your discoloration come from. It's not just bad luck. It's a mechanical failure that gets worse the older we get and the more sedentary we become. A clinical trial conducted across multiple European university hospitals involving over 5,000 patients found that diosmin, taken at 600 milligrams daily, reduced leg swelling by 37%, decreased leg pain scores by nearly half, and improved quality of life ratings in chronic venous insufficiency patients significantly within 6 months. For seniors specifically, the reason this works so well is that diosmin also has powerful anti-inflammatory properties, and chronic low-grade inflammation, what researchers now call inflammaging, a combination of the words inflammation and aging, is one of the primary drivers of vascular deterioration in people over 65. Diosmin essentially addresses two problems at once: the mechanical valve weakness and the inflammatory environment that accelerates vascular aging. You'll find it in supplement form, often paired with hesperidin in products labeled as Venetonic. The ideal dose based on current literature is 600 milligrams taken with your evening meal, when your lymphatic and venous systems are naturally more active in clearing fluid. Pair it with grapeseed extract for enhanced vascular protection. The two compounds work on overlapping but complementary pathways, and studies suggest the combination produces better outcomes than either alone. Now, before we get to our top three, and number two is the one I've been teasing, the vitamin almost nobody is connecting to leg circulation, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're finding this information valuable, and I genuinely hope you are, please take 2 seconds and hit the subscribe button right now. We release new evidence-based content for people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s every single week. And tap that like button. It tells the algorithm that real people are finding real value here, and it helps us reach more seniors who are sitting at home right now wondering why their legs feel the way they do and not getting answers from their doctors. Thank you. Now, and back to the science. Number three is something I think of as the forgotten circulation mineral, and its name is something you've almost certainly heard, but probably haven't associated with your blood vessels. It's niacin, also known as vitamin B3. Now, I want to be very precise here because there are different forms of niacin and they do very different things in the body. The form that is most powerfully connected to circulation in the legs is called nicotinic acid, the flush-producing form of niacin. Yes, the one that makes your skin turn red and warm. That flush is not a side effect to be avoided. That flush is the mechanism. When nicotinic acid enters your bloodstream, it triggers the release of prostaglandins, hormone-like compounds that cause your blood vessels to dilate, to open up and widen. And for someone whose leg arteries have been narrowing for years due to age-related plaque buildup and arterial stiffness, that dilation is like opening a partially clogged pipe wider. Blood rushes through. The research here is genuinely impressive. The Coronary Drug Project, one of the longest-running cardiovascular studies in American medical history, conducted with participants at over 50 hospitals, demonstrated that niacin was more effective at raising HDL cholesterol, the good kind that helps clean your arteries, than virtually any other natural intervention tested. Specifically for peripheral arterial disease, which affects approximately 20% of adults over the age of 70 and is one of the leading causes of leg pain and poor circulation, niacin has been shown in multiple trials to improve walking distance and reduce ischemic leg pain by improving blood flow to the lower extremities. After the age of 75, your mitochondria, the energy-producing engines inside every cell, lose up to 35% of their efficiency. Niacin, and specifically its downstream conversion to a compound called NAD+, is one of the primary fuels for mitochondrial function. When your mitochondria and your vascular smooth muscle cells are working better, those blood vessel walls become more elastic, more responsive, and more capable of dilating when blood needs to get through. The practical guidance here is to start low and go slow, 50 to 100 milligrams with food, gradually increasing over several weeks. The flushing decreases significantly as your body adjusts, and taking it with a small meal and an aspirin has been shown in clinical literature to reduce the flush response considerably. Pair niacin with omega-3 fatty acids. The combination has synergistic effects on triglyceride reduction and arterial flexibility that neither produces quite as powerfully on its own. One of my patients, a 74-year-old retired school teacher named Margaret from Scottsdale, Arizona, came to me after being told by two different doctors that her leg cramping and circulation issues were just part of getting older. After 3 months on a structured niacin protocol combined with lifestyle adjustments, she told me she had walked an entire mile without stopping for the first time in 4 years. That story never gets old. Now, number 2. Are you ready? Because this one is the vitamin I've been hinting at since the beginning. And when I tell you what it is, I want you to think about whether you've ever been tested for it. Number 2 is vitamin B12, but not in the way you've heard about it before. Everyone knows B12 is important for energy and for preventing anemia. But what the mainstream conversation almost never addresses is the direct, documented, mechanistic role that B12 plays in protecting and restoring the health of the blood vessels supplying your legs. Here's the connection, and it's critical. When your body is deficient in vitamin B12, and conservative estimates suggest that 30 to 40% of adults over the age of 60 are either deficient or severely insufficient, largely because the aging stomach produces less of the acid needed to absorb B12 from food, your body accumulates a toxic amino acid called homocysteine. Homocysteine in elevated levels is like sandpaper on the inside of your blood vessels. It damages the smooth endothelial lining, the thin, delicate membrane that keeps your arteries and veins supple and free-flowing, and triggers inflammation, promotes plaque formation, and accelerates arterial stiffening. A study from Tufts University's Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging found that seniors with elevated homocysteine levels had 70% greater risk of peripheral artery disease than those with normal levels. 70%. And the primary nutritional intervention that lowers homocysteine is B12, working in concert with folate and B6. But here's what makes this so urgent for people specifically in their 70s and 80s. After the age of 65, the stomach's production of something called intrinsic factor, a protein necessary for B12 absorption in the gut, declines dramatically. This means that even if you're eating plenty of meat, eggs, and dairy, you may not be absorbing the B12 in those foods. It's going in, but it's not getting through. This is why the form of supplementation matters enormously. The most bioavailable and research-supported form is methylcobalamin, the active form of B12 that your body can use immediately without needing to convert it. And the most effective delivery method for seniors with absorption issues is sublingual, under the tongue, where it bypasses the digestive system entirely and absorbs directly into the bloodstream through the mucous membranes. A dose of 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin sublingually, taken daily, has been shown in clinical research to normalize homocysteine levels within 12 weeks and produce measurable improvements in nerve conduction velocity, which directly affects how well your legs feel sensations and respond to signals. Pair B12 with folate and B6 for the complete homocysteine-lowering triad, and take it in the morning away from calcium supplements, which can interfere with absorption. I've included the specific research references in the description below this video, but now we've arrived at number 1. The vitamin I told you at the very beginning was the most surprising, the most overlooked, the one that the University of Colorado study showed produced a 42% improvement in arterial blood flow in seniors in just 8 weeks. Are you ready? Number 1 is vitamin D3. Combined specifically with vitamin K2, and I'm going to explain exactly why this pairing transforms the cardiovascular equation for aging legs in a way that neither compound can achieve alone. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. Lee, vitamin D? Everyone talks about vitamin D. But here is what nobody is telling you. The research on vitamin D and vascular function in seniors is far more dramatic and mechanistically specific than the general conversation suggests. And the K2 pairing is the piece that almost everyone is missing. Let's start with the scale of the deficiency problem, because it is staggering. Research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that over 70% of adults aged 65 and older in the United States are deficient in vitamin D. not borderline, actually deficient. And here's why that matters directly for your leg circulation. Vitamin D3 is not just a vitamin. It functions more like a hormone in the body. It has receptor sites on the cells lining your blood vessels, on your vascular smooth muscle cells, and on the cells that produce nitric oxide, which is the molecule your blood vessels use to signal themselves to relax and dilate. Think of nitric oxide like the remote control for your arteries. When vitamin D levels are adequate, that remote control works properly. Your arteries receive the signal to open, blood flows freely, your legs get the oxygen and nutrients they desperately need. When vitamin D levels are low, as they are in the majority of seniors, that signal weakens. Arteries become stiffer, less responsive, more prone to spasm and narrowing. And after the age of 70, your skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight drops by approximately 75% compared to younger adults. You are not making enough even if you go outside every day. The University of Colorado study I mentioned in the opening, led by researchers from the Division of Geriatric Medicine, found that older adults with low vitamin D who were supplemented with 2,000 to 4,000 IU of D3 daily for 8 weeks showed that 42% improvement in endothelial function, the ability of blood vessel walls to dilate and regulate blood flow, compared to placebo. Endothelial dysfunction is one of the earliest and most important markers of cardiovascular disease and peripheral arterial decline. Fixing it is not a cosmetic improvement. It is a fundamental restoration of how your circulation works. Now, here is where vitamin K2 enters the story and changes everything. When you take vitamin D3, you increase your body's ability to absorb calcium from food and supplements. Calcium is essential, but it needs to go into your bones, not into your arterial walls. Arterial calcification, hardening of the arteries, is one of the primary contributors to poor leg circulation in seniors, and it is largely driven by calcium depositing in places it shouldn't be. Vitamin K2, specifically the form called MK7, activates a protein called matrix glyprotein, or MGP, which acts like a traffic cop for calcium. It physically redirects calcium away from your arteries and into your bones where it belongs. A landmark Dutch study, the Rotterdam Study, following over 4,800 adults, found that those with the highest intake of vitamin K2 had 52% less arterial calcification and significantly lower rates of cardiovascular events than those with the lowest intake. When D3 and K2 are taken together, you get the full benefit of improved vascular function from D3 without the risk of calcium misrouting that can actually worsen arterial stiffness. They are, without exaggeration, one of the most important nutritional partnerships in aging vascular health. The practical protocol, based on current research for adults over 60, is 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D3 taken with your largest meal of the day. Because D3 is fat-soluble and absorbs best with dietary fat, combined with 100 to 200 micrograms of vitamin K2 in the MK7 form. Have your vitamin D blood levels tested? You're looking for a 25-hydroxyvitamin D level between 50 and 80 nanomoles per liter, not the outdated threshold of 30 that many labs still use. Pair this combination with magnesium glycinate, because magnesium is a necessary cofactor for vitamin D to be converted into its active form in the body. Without adequate magnesium, a significant portion of the D3 you take cannot be properly activated. I want to tell you about a 79-year-old man named Harold from rural Tennessee who had been dealing with what his doctor diagnosed as mild peripheral artery disease for nearly 6 years. His legs were constantly cold. He had given up walking to his mailbox, about 200 feet, because the pain in his calves made it unbearable. He found this channel, watched a similar video, spoke with his own physician, and began a structured D3-K2 protocol alongside the other interventions we've discussed today. After 4 months, he sent me a message telling me he had walked to the end of his dirt road and back, nearly half a mile, without stopping. He said he stood out there for a few minutes looking at his house in the distance, and he cried. Not because he was in pain, because he wasn't. That is why I do this work. That is why this channel exists. Getting older is not a sentence. Declining circulation is not something you simply have to accept. The research is clear, it is consistent, and it is available to you right now. What is not available to you is the 10-minute conversation with a specialist who has read all of it and can walk you through how to apply it to your specific body. That's what I try to be for you here. Every single week. You deserve to walk to your mailbox. You deserve to climb the stairs without holding both railings. You deserve legs that carry you to your grandchildren's events, into your garden, through the years you've worked so hard to reach. It is never too late to improve circulation, never too late to restore function, never too late to reclaim mobility that you thought was gone. The science says so, and people like Harold say so. All of the research studies mentioned in today's video, the University of Colorado Arterial Flow Study, the Rotterdam Study, the Tufts University Homocysteine Research, and the European Diosmin Trial, are linked in the description below. Please share this video with someone you love who is dealing with leg pain or circulation issues. You might be handing them something that changes their daily life. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it now. It takes 1 second, and it means that next week's video, which is going to cover the single most dangerous breakfast habit for seniors with poor circulation, will appear right in your feed. Finally, I want to hear from you. Now that you've watched this entire video, tell me in the comments, which of these 5 nutrients are you most surprised by, and which one are you going to try first? I will be reading every reply. Until next time, keep moving, keep learning, and take care of those legs.